Hello all, it's me again. I've decided to do another video, and this video is geared towards people who want to move to the United States and bring their children over here. And I will be talking about education and the process of registering your child and what's involved in there. So before I talk about that, I think it's important that I talk about how the United States system of education is organized. So the first thing is to understand how the United States government is organized to see where the education system fits. So the United States has the national government, which is called the federal government. It has states which are under the jurisdiction of the federal government, and they are equivalent to provinces in other countries. And then there are counties, which are the same as municipalities, and within a county there are cities, and within cities there are school districts, and your school district is determined by really the county, but some cities are big enough to be their own, to have their own school system. By and large, schools fall under a county. So if you live within a county, your child will attend school in that county, but within that county there are school districts that are divided according to area codes or the number of people within a certain area. And so your children will be logged by the address they lived in. So if you live in an address and a zip code, your child will go to a designated school. Okay, and so so that's how the setup is. In terms of the school, you don't have to do anything special. You just go in and you show where you live and you register your child, and that's it. So let me talk about the school systems now that you know how everything is organized. So you have in the school systems, you have public schools, just like any other countries, private schools, but you also have something called charter schools, and you also have magnet schools and some specialized schools. So you have these types of schools. Public schools, as I said, they are free. You don't pay any tuition, and most public schools don't have uniforms, so your child will dress, like appropriately for school. And the only thing that you will be responsible for as a parent will be to make sure that you buy your child any school supplies and, of course, the clothes that they wear. If you choose, you can have your child ride a bus to school. Okay, just to give you a background, so my children went to school here. My daughter came here when she was in 2nd grade, and the registration process was straightforward. And my son started school here all his life. And so I, as a parent, went to school here as part of my education, and I went to a technical college to do an associate's degree in computer science. So so that's my educational background, and I think I can speak on this issue because I went to school here as a parent, and my children went to school here. So I just wanted to give you that information. So in terms of I will talk more about the public school and the magnet school system and the specialized school, because that's where my children went. But so the public school starts from pre-K in some areas all the way to 12th grade, and then you go to college. And colleges in the United States, you have 2-year colleges and you have 4-year colleges, undergraduate programs. And the 2-year colleges are your community and technical colleges, and you can take what you've done in community college and you can transfer it to a 4-year college, and you can get in a bachelor's degree in a technical college. college or a community college, you get an associate's degree. So that's I just wanted to put that out there first. And then when it comes to the school system, so my kids went to the public school, and I have to say that as a parent, I was very satisfied. My daughter went to a private school in South Africa, and when we moved here, she went to a public school, and I was impressed. The level of education, I mean, I'm comparing a third world country at the time, or a second world country at the time, to a first world country. So obviously there will be those advantages, you know, but I was very satisfied. The style of teaching was totally different than what I grew up with, which the emphasis was memorization and understanding, you know, concept. I'm not saying South African education is bad, not at all, but it's a different focus in my view. Here you get like an education where the focus is more on project-based solutions, creations and stuff. That's why the United States education, even though everybody talks about how bad it is, I mean, I don't even want to go down that route, but everyone say, you know, like America is behind, but it still produces a lot of innovators, a lot of people who know how to create things. That's mainly because that's the focus of the education. Yes, there are disadvantages to the American system of education, in that they still do standardized testing, which really is memorization, right? Especially if you are in and you are answering like multiple choice questions, it's memorization. And so if you don't focus on that and making sure that kids can study hard and recall facts, then you're gonna get a lot of kids who suffer, or who cannot test well. But you also get kids who know how to create and innovate at the same time. So, and in fact, in the real world, you don't necessarily need to be memorizing facts. I think what you need to be doing is understanding how to provide solutions in whatever field that you do. But anyway, just to come back, and that's pretty much the education. So the school systems themselves are governed by school boards, which are political people, and they can sometimes meddle with an education system. I don't know, they can misuse the power that they have, where they interfere with the curriculum and, you know, like put political spin on curriculum. But fortunately, math and science in general speaks for itself. It's not easily manipulated, but things like history and stuff like that can be, which again, like, you'll have to know what you're doing, and also teach your child, you know, like things like logic and critical thinking. But anyway, I know I'm digressing, but the point here is that I am satisfied as a parent with the education that my children received, having gone through a different school system in South Africa, and satisfied over there in terms of what they are being able to do, and here having a different experience. By the way, I was able to transition from an arts background into a technical world where I work as a software engineer. And to me, that's a testament of an education system that can accommodate you at any level, and it can you can be basically anything you want, because what they do in technical colleges especially, they will take you and they will assess the level that you're on, and then they will accommodate. You will take longer classes, let's say, than someone who's already advanced than you, but ultimately you will be able to make a transition. So I recommend, if you want to go back to school or whatever, go to a technical college, and you can bridge that gap, and then you can go on to a 4-year degree. But in terms of private schools in America are very, very expensive, very few kids in the United States. I have to check my facts on this, but the vast majority of students go to public schools in America. So private schools are here and they're available and they're very expensive. Like you can pay easily like $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a year for your child to go to a private school. And to me, if you have the money to do it or your child has a scholarship, do it. But the public education system is just as capable of producing a very smart individuals who are able to solve world's problems, or even create some for that matter. But so that's the private school, and I won't say much there because again I don't have a lot of experience in terms of American private school system. So let's go to the charter schools. So we have charter schools, which are publicly funded schools, but they are independent in terms of making rules. What rules they can make, I'm not exactly sure, but a lot of parents choose them because they feel like the governing bodies have a little bit of autonomy in terms of making decisions as to what goes into, I don't know, the curriculum, or they can choose to have uniforms and stuff like that. So they have a lot more independence in terms of rule making, but they're still funded by the public. Then you have magnet school. Magnet schools, a lot of them are 100% public schools, but they are magnets because they have a focus. For instance, you have an arts magnet. My daughter went to an art school, even though she ended up leaving that school and going to School of Math and Science, which I'll talk about it in just a few. But she went to an art school which was focused. My son goes to what is now, like, this is a new thing, by the way. I mean, not new, but it's like maybe 10 or 15 years old. These things called early colleges. Basically, it's high school compressed in 2 years, and then in your last 2 years of high school you do college level classes, and they are usually attached to a university. They are sort of like a pipeline for the university where they can take students, you know, like within their school system, I mean within the early college, and move them to the upper college, which is the real college. And but by that time those kids graduate 12th grade, they've already have 2 years of college, so they can do 2 or 2.5 years of college, and they will have a 4-year degree by the time they are done. And that's what my son is doing. My daughter went to a School of Math and Science, which again is a specialized school where the focus is science and technology, and there the students can learn you know, like things like robotics. They have more resources in terms of what's available for their specialty. So that's the major, I think, those are the major groups of schools here in the United States. And in terms of oh hey, someone is behind me. Okay, so in terms of tuition, as I said, tuition is free in everything that is public except for private school. When you go to college is you have to pay tuition just like pretty much the rest of the world, and public schools are much cheaper. Like your cost could range around $20,000 to $30,000 a year, whereas again private schools like Harvard, you know, like Harvard, Yale, MIT, all those great institutions that you hear about a lot, they can set you back like something like $60,000 a year. So it's, you know, like, again, I'm a believer in it's not where you go but why you go. You can get a great education whether you go to a public or private school if you know why you go to school, if you know why you are doing what you're doing. So, but the one thing that I liked the most was by 3rd grade, I think, they start identifying kids who are academically gifted. So if your child is labeled academically gifted, then they can take classes that are a little bit higher. In South Africa, I think they call that taking things in higher grade, except that I think the difference would be that you still doing pretty much the same thing, I think, in South Africa, but more on rigorous level. And whereas here, if it's like you have specific classes that you're supposed to take in order to graduate 12th grade, and in those classes, like you could take, let's say by the time other kids are doing like 12th grade English, you could be doing English 2, which is a college level course, something like that, or English 101. Like, you will always be a little bit ahead of the other students, and so a lot of parents are taking advantage of that, because if they can cut, like even if it's just 1 year of college, they can at least save some money, like 20,000 at least in a public institution. And $20,000 is not a small amount. I know you're probably thinking, oh, I pay 50,000 rands or something like that. No, that's like over 200,000, or something like that. But anyway, so I mean, doing direct conversion doesn't help in any way, shape, or form. But I'm just pointing out that numbers seem very low, just because that is because the dollar is powerful. So that's one thing. And another thing that is of note is that in elementary school, which is what they call a primary school here, elementary school, they do not have sports, because they want to avoid liability. What that means is that pretty much all parents, they will take their kids to their favorite sport at an early age privately, which costs money, by the way. So if or you could do the Parks and Recs, which is the government program, which like it's good enough, but it's not as good as going to a private like club for your kids. So a lot of parents go through that route, where they go through the private clubs and have their kids play, because by the time you in middle school, that's when you start sports. And in middle school, they're basically preparing you for high school basketball or football. And here it's huge, and it will set you for college. And meaning that if you do well in sports in middle school and high school, you can get a full scholarship to a college, and that full scholarship, everything will be paid for. But the only thing is that it's very competitive, so a lot of kids end up with their hearts broken. But that's why America is so good, at least in the sports that are popular in America. America it's a huge country. So it has over 300 million people, and it's got regions, and states. It's 50 states and the District of Columbia, which is Washington D.C. And so America can afford to compete against itself, but at a very organized way. It's big, man. I mean, billions and billions of dollars. So there's a lot at stake. So kids try to be the best they can be and to compete at an extremely high level. So again, I was talking about that in the in the context of the school system. Okay, so how was your elementary school?
Okay.
Elementary school.
You gotta be loud a
A
little.
million years ago. Elementary school is fine. It's just coloring and drawing stuff and getting good grades. As long as you just kind of pay attention.
Not
and
really. You have to pay
As
attention.
long as you go for gold, like try to get into AIT and all that stuff early, and then you're kind of set for going next year.
Okay, so you have to be a little bit loud, because I'll have to put
Yeah, if you're like one of the AE kids, or I guess AIG, then yeah, things will go pretty well for you academically, at least. You'll always be able to say, oh, I took this class, all of these classes in elementary school, and I can take this high school class in middle school, and I can take this AP class in high school.
So, but anyway, I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, please let me know below. You can type them out and I'll answer them, or I'll make a follow-up video. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much.